I may seem like I'm harping a lot about the monarchy that they have in Britain or England. That's not my country. I don't have any. I can have opinions about it, but it's none of my business really. But the thing about these monarchies that's really, when in the Revolutionary War, when we fought England for our independence, and we defeated them, and in the end, when George Washington, actually before he was president, a lot of the politicians wanted him to be King George. They wanted him to be a king. And I don't know exactly what George Washington said about that, but in essence what he said was, we've been there, we've done that, we don't want no more kings and queens. What he said was, if you're going to be a leader of this country, if you're going to be a president, you got to earn it. And like right now, Charles is King of England, not because he earned it, but because he was Queen Elizabeth's firstborn kid. He was born into it. He didn't earn it. And that's what I don't like about it. Just like now, William, his firstborn son, was born into it. He don't have to earn it. Who knows what he's done? I don't know. But it's like one of my favorite presidents was George Herbert Walker Bush. He was president from 88 to 93. He was the 41st president. He was president, and by gosh, he earned it. He wasn't born into it. He earned it. A lot of people don't realize he was the last president that we had that had actually seen combat in a war. He was a pilot in the Navy. He was involved in 2 crashes. One of them, he was actually shot down, and he had to parachute. He had to bail out. And he had this raft that he could deploy, that he was sitting in that raft, and the submarine surfaced and rescued him. In other words, plucked him out of the water. There's a lot of things about that man that nobody knows or realizes. A lot of people probably don't even care. But he earned it. Yes, he did. He earned it. And I will say the same thing for George Walker Bush, his son that was president for 8 years. He earned it. It wasn't given to him. And I'm not really talking politics here. I'm just trying to make a point. The monarchy sucks. But if that's what the British want, if that's what floats their boat, then so be it. So be it. But the monarchy in England and a lot of these other smaller countries, they don't do nothing. They're just a figurehead. They used to, in England, if you was a king or queen, you did what you wanted and you got away with it. There was a lot of killing, a lot of beheadings, all that stuff. They got away with it. Well, they can't get away with that now. But I just don't know what all the hubbub is about this coronation thing. I haven't watched it. It don't interest me whatsoever to watch that coronation. I did watch, they were showing a clip of all the different heads of state and all the other kings and queens flying in to the airport with their big planes, going to his coronation. Big freaking whoop. I just don't get it. And there's a lot of interest in it in our country here now. A lot of people are interested and want to watch it. They wanted to watch Queen Elizabeth's funeral. Well, I wouldn't give no more credence to Queen Elizabeth than I would some other woman that died yesterday or something. That's just part of life. She was, how old was she? 90? She was 90-something years old. Charles had to wait a long time before he became king. Well, he won't reign as long as his mama did. He's too old. He'll die way before that. And then William will take over. Not because he earned it, but because his mama and his daddy had sex and he was a product of that relation. That's probably a crude way to put it, but I'm kind of a crude person. But I like William in a way, but I like Harry a lot better. And I don't think, if I had some way of knowing or showing it for sure, that when Harry married Meghan Markle's her last name, she's half black. And I don't think that set well with the royals. I don't think it set well at all. But we only know what they have let us know. There's a lot of things going on that we don't know about, and the only ones that knows is like Charles. And Charles, you know, when he was still married to Diana, he was screwing around on her. And that wife of his, that Camellia, or whatever her name is, one of my subscribers, oh, you mean Horseface? Well, she can't help the way she looks, but she, I got a chuckle out of that. But now she was crowned too. I understand she was crowned queen. Something, I don't know. I just don't see all the hubbub about all this interest in the Brits. You know, the Britain, England, right now, they're not. They used to say the sun never sets on the British Empire. Well, that was true, because they had their fingers in a lot of different countries back in the day, and all around the world. So the sun never set on what they called their empire. They took a lot of countries, and they've lost a lot of countries now. So now they just got themselves, and they got the Falklands. But what I never have understood that, why they even got that island. Argentina wanted it. Let them have it. I don't know. This is all just my opinion, and I got a right to my opinions, but I don't think I have a right to criticize somebody about their politics. I don't have a right. Like, I had a friend, and I mean, it was a good friend, and I was friends with that family. I still am, but this one particular person, back when Donald Trump first run for the presidency, I supported him. And this friend of mine, he's a German, and he lives in Germany. And we was discussing Trump and everything, and I mentioned that I'm going to support him. I'm going to vote for him. And boy, he was livid. I don't want to be friends with nobody that will stand up for Trump. And he dropped me. You know, he got me off of his Facebook page and everything. And I haven't heard from him since then. All because I voted for Trump when it was the first time he run. I won't vote for him this time. And I wouldn't tell him. I wanted to say something about the Chancellor of Germany and why they voted for that one and all that stuff, but I didn't do it because it's not my business. I'm not a German. I'm an American. And maybe I ought to send him an email and say, well, I'm not going to support him this go round. Can we start being friends again? Well, guess what? If he was going to boot me because of my opinions, because of my politics, I don't want to be friends with him anymore. I don't want to be friends with him anymore. What if, let's say, my family it's a monarchy of some fictitious country. And when I was born, my daddy was the king of this monarchy, and my mama was the queen. And I was the firstborn. So that means when my daddy dies, I'm going to automatically be the king. I don't have to earn it, just simply because I was born. And he's been dead since 1977. So I've been king ever since 1977. Now, when I die, my firstborn is my daughter, so she's going to be queen. And when she dies and her reign is up, guess what? Donovan is going to be king. Now, I suppose Donovan doesn't have a wife and he doesn't have children, so when he dies, who takes over? His next brother, I guess. That would be Joey. And if and I'm sure Joey and them's gonna have some kids, but that's the way that works, which is crazy. You know, I think you should have to earn what you get in life, like George Herbert Walker Bush did. And I know there's some of you out there that can't stand Bush or any of the Bushes. There's some of you out there that can't stand the Clintons. There's some of you out there that, now Ronald Reagan, I supported Ronald Reagan. I loved Ronald Reagan. And some of you probably didn't like Ronald Reagan. There was one fellow that ran for president, John Kerry. He was running against, let's see. I think he was running against Bush. I'm not sure, but you know he was a Vietnam veteran, and he had a Purple Heart. Turns out his wound that he got when he was in Vietnam, it wasn't from a bullet. You know what it was from? I imagine there's some truth to this. I don't know, but they called it a paper cut Purple Heart. In other words, he cut his finger on a piece of paper. And there was and a lot of the people that was on these boats with him, they didn't have nothing nice to say about that man. But I don't like him. But you know, that's my opinion. And if you like him, you like him. I'm not gonna fight you. Not going to give you a hard time because of that. That's just the way everybody has opinion. Everybody has a vote. There's just a lot of things. We only know what the government lets us know. Sometimes we find out stuff they didn't want us to know. But I remember when Kennedy was running for president. Well, I liked Kennedy. I liked him. And I remember listening to the election returns, and we was on maneuvers in Germany, and it was snow on the ground, and they were sitting there with this little portable radio, listening to the returns results and everything in Germany, and in that snow and everything. I can remember too in that November he was assassinated. Now, I did not like Johnson. Back in the day when that Vietnam War was going on and stuff, I liked Johnson. I thought we was doing, but he was lying to us. He was lying to us. That we had no business over there, and he bombed a lot of civilians and children and stuff in Vietnam when those B-52 bombers flying over and dropping all those bombs on them and stuff. We had no business over there. Now back then, you couldn't tell me that. I thought we did. But after everything's come out that's come out, we didn't have no business over there. Didn't have no business over there. And I used to feel bad because when I got out of the Army, I got out, I was coming up for discharge, and I was going to re-enlist, but I found out that a lot of the people with my MOS, and that's a number that describes what you do, what you specialize in. A lot of people with my MOS was getting sent to Vietnam, and I did not want to go. And I felt guilty that I didn't go, especially when I had friends that went over and got killed. And I didn't want to go, and that's why I didn't re-enlist. And I guess if I'd have re-enlisted and went over and actually had to kill people, I would really be feeling guilty about it now. My brother, Joe, he volunteered for the Army when he was 17. And after his basic training and his second 8 weeks training, they sent him to Vietnam. Well, when he was over there, when they sent him over there, they realized that he was still just 17, and they didn't want 17-year-olds in combat. So they sent him on something called R&R, which I think means rest and relaxation, till he turned 18. When he turned 18, he went straight back to Vietnam, and the plane had landed, and he was coming down the steps, and the whole airfield come under attack, and he was wounded carrying his duffel bag. He was wounded. He got shrapnel in his butt. There was a mortar attack, but he got shrapnel in his butt, so he got a Purple Heart for that. Well, back to Hawaii he went for more R&R, and when he was all rested and recuperated and everything, back to Vietnam he went. And he was over there about just a few months. And he got wounded again. He fell into one of them pits that had them spikes in it, and he got one of those through his foot. That was his second Purple Heart. He healed up, then he went back over there, and he did whatever the tour was. I don't know how many months it was. But he went back stateside. He got his discharge, and he stayed out about 6 months and decided he wanted to go back to Vietnam. So he re-enlisted and went back to Vietnam again. And I don't think he was wounded on that tour. But I wish I'd have talked to him more than I did before he died. He was messed up. I wish I'd have talked to him more. And he was in there. He was airborne. You know, and I wanted to talk. I didn't talk to him. I wish I had him. But he was always drunk, not easy to talk to. And I don't know exactly what his job was. He was a sergeant when he got discharged this last time. He was a sergeant first class, I think. But you know, I wish I'd have talked to him. I wish I'd have talked to my uncles and stuff that was in World War II. But I didn't do it. I did get outside and I got my you know, those new plants, the Japanese plum or the loquats. You know, I planted them things about a year ago, and I forgot where I planted them, the seeds, and I found them the other day, and they're up about 3 or 4 inches tall. So they were planted in the ground. So I pulled them up and fixed little pots for each one of them. I got 11, 12 counting that one big one that's about 4 foot tall now. These here are only about 3 or 4 inches tall. They grow pretty slow. But I got that took care of and some other stuff out there that I needed to do. I'm slurring my speech again, I can tell. I don't guess there's anything I can do about it, just do the best I can. I'm pretty sure I had a stroke a while back. Doctor thinks I did too. I got to go to the doctor. But something wrong with my computer. The sound won't come on. Maybe there's something wrong with the speakers. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough on this video, folks. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya.